Hoka, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of August the 11th, 2023. What about Alita do you think gives her so much UwU? Where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek from Denver, Colorado. And with me is Lee. He is in Fountain, Colorado. How's it going, Lee?
Oh, so far so good.
And how's things down there in Fountain, by the way?
Warm and cloudy.
Yeah, same as up here. Although it hasn't been as hot this summer as it usually is in Colorado, which is kind of I guess is a good thing. I guess everywhere else is really hot, but here it's, I think we've had maybe a couple of days in the 90s, but that's been about it. So I don't know. I think you guys get a little more heat down there than we get up here. But anyway, because you're not that far from New Mexico, are you?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, Lee, as you can see, I got the right slide up there this time. So, and I guess Angelus will be he'll be joining us because this is his topic. So, of course, it's his topic. Anything to do with UwU is going to be pretty much Angelus's topic. So anyway, but it's a good topic, and we got some pretty good talking points here to go over. I guess before we get to it, now, I think we got a couple other folks coming on too. So you know, we'll let them come on just as soon as they get here. I just want to remind everybody to you know, sign the petition if you haven't done it already. And I think we've added, maybe since the last live Alita live stream, which was 2 weeks ago, I think we've added something like 20, I guess, signatures. So or something like 18 to 20, something like that. So we are now over 178,000, and we keep going up and up. I mean, it's you know, it's kind of a slow progress, but hey, that's still more signatures than the Snyder Cut got, and they got what they wanted. So hopefully we're going to get what we want too, and that's going to be Alita Battle Angel 2, or Alita Fallen Angel, and Alita Avenging Angel. So we're going to get Alita 2 and 3 from that. Also, just want to remind everyone that we've got a fundraiser going on, and we want to try to give some deserving handicapped person, you know, a bionic hand. We have already used some of the funds, you know, for that, I guess, that banner we flew around Disney headquarters. So, you know, it's already done some good. So, you know, we're still collecting on that. And if all you can give is $1, that's fine, you know. And if you can't give anything, just make sure you retweet it, and you know, let other people know. You know, I think we haven't really you know, kind of promoted it too much in the last couple of weeks because I've been out of town, and I think also I'm going out of town next week too, actually. But you know, but anyway, there it is. It's going to go to a good cause. So if you can give, please do. Any comments, Lee?
Nope.
Okay, without further ado, then let's go ahead and get into the and that rascal Angelus is not here to talk about his topic. So so anyway, but what does give Alita so much UwU? And I think all of us in the Alita Army all agree categorically that she definitely has UwU. There's no doubt about it. And I think our friend Den or Ox King or whatever, has also said that she's our waifu, as a matter of fact. So we want to just talk about that a little bit, but we're going to go a little bit deeper into this, and we've done a couple of streams on this, but I want to go just a little bit deeper on it this time, not just limit it to her physical appearance. We want to talk about some other qualities that she has that might enhance, how the Alita Army feels about her. And of course, that first bullet goes without saying. She is really cute. There's no doubt about that. Now, that said, you don't want to mistake her cuteness and her size, which is 4'11", I guess, in the manga. I guess in the movie, she's a little bit more, she's a little taller than that. She's probably 5'3" or something like that. But you don't want to mistake that as a sign of weakness, because
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, she's pretty potent, particularly in that, certainly that, that Imaginos body. She's definitely very potent in that. As we talked about, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, she's got godlike powers in that body. But in her berserker body, she is pretty potent. She's, if you remember from the movie, which I'm sure everybody in this stream has seen the movie probably at least 50 times, but she dispatched Gorwishka in less than 10 seconds, after she actually moved on him, so because that body has got so much speed and power, and she's got that plasma weapon for sure. But we're also going to talk about her personality. In other words, who she really is. What makes her up psychologically. We will go a little bit into her metahuman level abilities, but not like we did a couple of weeks ago, because we beat that up pretty good, I think. And we all agree that she's, at the very least, she's an extremely enhanced human, and of course the Creek thinks she's actually a metahuman because of some of the feats that she can, particularly in that Imaginos body, is way beyond human capability. And then that fourth bullet is certainly something we all recognize in Alita, is her perseverance and determination. When she gets an objective in her head, there is nothing that's going to stop her from achieving that objective. So anyway, that's kind of the four. I guess I got anything else up there just as a catch-all for that, just in case I've missed something, because I kind of put this together myself, and we might have some other discussions on that. So Lee, can you think of anything else that's not up there in those first four bullets?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, because I know one of the things, I think if you've read Lee's fanfic, I think that second bullet really comes to the forefront, at least from what I've read of it, about who she is. Because certainly in any kind of story that you would read about a character, particularly when it goes into a lot of depth, you're going to get more than you would get out of a 2-hour movie, because movies are so short. It's hard to really dive very deeply into a character. Certainly you can get to know the character to some degree, but like particularly in Lee's story, I think I get a better feel for Alita's personality in that story than you would actually get from the movie. At least that's my opinion. Not to say the movie's bad. Certainly, the Creek has seen this movie over 60 times, so it's not, the movie's definitely not bad.
Certainly got to have something going for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think when you read something like that, whether it's a short novel or even a short story, you kind of get a different, a little more in depth, kind of feel or description or whatever of an individual, who they really are, what's their mental makeup. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about there. So anything you want to add to that, particularly in that personality area, Lee, I guess, because you go into that a little bit.
I try to. I think that's actually one of the problems I've been having with this last 20 chapters is I don't seem to have the confidence in my ability to portray her at the moment. So I've been having a lot of difficulty trying to sort of portray her personality in a way that I'm satisfied with.
Well, what I like about your story, not that we want to get too far into that. We want to stay on the topic, I guess. But what I like, I do get a good feel for her personality out of your story, because it's like, like for instance, her interaction with Jason, I mean, to me, it's like, just reading it, I'm getting the very distinct impression that they're becoming friends,
well, that's the direction I was trying to go in, so it's good.
Yeah, because they get into these little tiffs, like two friends would get into, and it's kind of funny, some of it, how she gets maybe like that. Well, I think we've talked about this before, but where she I guess they build a harness for Jason, because he doesn't have his left arm or his legs,
Yeah, he's missing 3 of his limbs.
Yeah, and she puts him in this harness, and she tells him, she said, well, quit acting like such a baby about this.
Yeah, he was getting tired of trying to go through the process of getting it set up so it would be useful enough for them to have him sitting in it for 4 hours. And he's like, are we done yet? And she's like, don't be such a baby. Almost don't be such a baby. He's like, it'd be easier to do if you weren't carrying me like one.
Yeah, and she just looks at him, they has this look, at him, like. And then there was that other scene where he's, I don't know, I can't remember what he was doing. He was feeling sorry for himself or something, and she throws a protein bar or something at him, and it hits him, So it's kind of funny, and it's like they're developing this relationship between themselves, as friends, so and he's not as afraid of her as he was at the beginning of the story, because
his fear of her has dissipated a bit.
Yeah, although he still recognizes that she could take him out anytime she wanted, but that's not her personality.
But yeah, her personality was a little difficult to lock down, because with the manga, you get a really good sense of where she's at, because of what happens to her during the course of the various story arcs.
Yes.
Like after she loses Jason and she goes into the Motorball story arc, she has basically turned her back in a way on Ito and her old life.
Yeah.
Well, what there was of her old life after she lost her memory.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
I was just going to say, it just seemed like some people that I had talked to thought she was being a bit of a bitch, for lack of a better term, because it's like she suddenly just turns a cold shoulder to basically her only family with no explanation or anything.
Yeah.
And then of course there's after the Motorball arc, she becomes a very different person. After that, she becomes more personable and seems to be much more outgoing.
Yeah.
Seems to regain some of that warmth. So
yeah,
it changes a lot based on where she is in the story arcs.
Yeah, we're going to come up on that. I got some slides behind this. So, but hold those thoughts, because her personality changes throughout the manga. I mean, she evolves.
I think mercurial would be a
that's right. Yeah,
good term for that. Changes a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a result of kind of what she's been through, and that kind of thing. So, I think that she was, well, we'll get to this. We'll get to personality. I don't want to spend too much time here. And then certainly we're going to, review her metahuman level abilities. I mean, she's, as we've said several times, Alita is not a superhero. She definitely is not that. But her abilities, her strength, her speed, her ability to fight, that is at metahuman levels. I mean, she is, her abilities are superhuman or superhero-esque, but she is definitely not a superhero. She's not even an anti-hero, really. She's just somebody who's trying to get by in the world she's woken up into, because if you remember from the story, she's in the movie. In the manga, it's a little different, but she wakes up hundreds of years later, after she has been what Zalem thought had executed her, but they didn't kill her. I think they thought they did, but they didn't, and she was in the scrapyard all that time.
Yeah. Well, manga or movie, she wakes up hundreds of years after her apparent death, regardless of what the cause of that might be.
Yeah, that's right. So, and so her certainly, she's got a blank slate, because you remember from the movie, particularly, she has no memory of her, what she's been through. She doesn't know anything about her past. The only thing she does remember, of course, is instinctive how to fight. Because she's I guess her fighting skill was ingrained in her at such a deep level that it just, that part of it was retained in her brain, I guess, and she discovers it when she has to fight like Gruishka and Nisiana and Romo, and it's like kind of like when Gruishka jumps down that hole and she's holding that rocket hammer, she looks up like, what the hell did I just do?
It kind of looked like she was a little surprised at what she did, but mainly she just wanted to go after him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I was going to say her retrograde amnesia is the kind of amnesia they were saying that she's got. I'd heard some people complain that it didn't make sense why she was able to recognize clothing or why she was able to have some memories of certain other things, but so much else was a blank slate. Well, I found out that retrograde amnesia is a very real affliction, and it causes some very strange memory holes.
Yeah, for sure. And certainly that Panzerkunst that she learned, that was ingrained in her at such an early age that her memory held on to that more than, say, what you would consider from, say, in the movie 300 years ago, any kind of short-term memory she had would be wiped out, Well,
that's the thing. Skills, anything that was basically a skill, retrograde amnesia usually doesn't touch. But anything like knowledge of people, places, or emotional connections, a lot of that ends up going away with retrograde amnesia. It can come back later, but often it gets wiped out.
Yeah.
And it, for whatever reason, it doesn't touch things like how to dress yourself, how to eat, or fighting skills, that kind of thing.
Or how to talk. I mean.
Oh yeah, that too.
Her English, she remembers English, So, and that's something that probably she learned from early on, I guess, for when she was
like I said, apparently retrograde amnesia doesn't affect any acquired skill.
Yeah. And she certainly has skill, particularly when it comes to fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see on that picture down at the bottom down there, she's still a lethal opponent, even with one arm.
Yep.
She's in half a body. She's still a very lethal opponent, And of course, that speaks to her perseverance and determination. I mean, she's, and I think I've said this on some other streams, that anybody else, if they would have been, I mean, certainly if you chop a human in half like that and take off one of their arms, I mean, we're going to bleed out, we're not going to survive that. But just say you got some, life-threatening injury or something like that, where it was a kind of I guess it was you're going to die, that, I mean, that's what it is. And that was the condition she was in. She knew at that point, because she didn't know that Ito and Hugo and McTeague were going to come down there to help her. She didn't know that. But even though she had the idea, well, I'm going to die, but I'm going to leave him a present. So, I mean, most humans are not going to do that. They're going to be.
Well, that's the thing. Flesh and blood human isn't going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Traumatic injury like that to a flesh and blood body, that would simply shut the body down.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how badly you want to do anything, you're not going to be able to.
Now, there is stories. I know I've read stories from like World War II and so forth, where a soldier, would be all shot up, and, they would continue to, attack the enemy and fire back at them and just kind of continue what they were doing until the fighting was over, and then they drop dead, something like that. There's stories like that, but most humans don't do that. If most humans,
that is not a common occurrence. That's
that's
really
right.
rare. There was even a story I remember reading about. It was from the Revolutionary War. There was a American warship that was facing off against a British ship. I think it was more than one, actually. And there were some of the crew on board were freed slaves. One of them was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he got shot by a British cannonball that ripped him in half. And he was lying on the deck with half of his lower body missing, and he was basically sort of extolling his comrades to continue fighting and trying to convince them to throw him overboard because he thought he was in the way and he would cost them the ship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would be like Alita, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he was just half of him. Yeah. So yeah. But that, like you say, that's not common. You know, I mean, humans would usually ball up in a fetal position. That'd be the end of it. You know, they just accept their fate. But it seems like Alita doesn't do that. You know, as long as she's got breath.
Well, it does help that she has a mechanical body, because that has a lot more durability than a flesh and blood body does.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
Yeah, there's also a lot of she has a lot of resilience psychologically.
Yeah, she does. And that's probably part of her training in the armed military too, you know, which she an acquired, I guess, knowledge or skill or whatever that wasn't wiped out, you know, when she was
well, some of it would be training. I have no doubt that a good bit of it, though, has to do with just the makeup of who she is and the previous combat experience she's had.
Yes.
So it could be a combination of, quite a few things.
Yes, indeed. Oh, by the way, let me do this. I keep forgetting to do this. I just put a link in the chat. If anybody wants to come on and talk with us, by all means, click on that link and we'll bring you into the stream. Of course, we've only got, I guess, 3 people out there, but that's okay. You know, just come on and we'll talk about Alita, you know, so. Okay. Anything else you can think of? It's not up there before I go to the first slide.
Let's see. Beauty, cuteness, personality. Not really.
Yeah. The only other thing, I got a slide on this that I just thought of was she is a very compassionate person. You know,
I think that goes into personality. Yeah. So her compassion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Humanity, her she has a soft spot for kids, definitely.
Yeah, and dogs. Yeah, she has that, and she has I guess, an overwhelming drive to protect those who she loves. You know, I mean, she'll sacrifice all, you know, to protect the ones she loves. That's why she went down after Grishka. You know, when he went down into the underworld in the movie. Of course, in the manga,
because he threatened people she cares about.
Yeah, that's right. And in the manga, of course, she goes down after Grishka because Makaku, because he has Koyomi, you know, and he was notorious in the manga for eating human brains, you know. So, so I think Alita was fearful for, you know, Koyomi, you know, in that regard. So she goes down after him, knowing full well that the odds are against her, but she don't care. You know, she's going to go after it, and she's going to protect those that who she loves or who she thinks needs protecting. She is going to do it, you know. So, and I think that's another endearing quality of her. And that's, like you say, that's in her personality, I guess. Okay, well, let's move on to the obvious. And too bad Angelus is not here. Let me see if he put anything in the DMs just in case he's running late or something. Nope. No, he hasn't. So he does have a link, so he can come on. So anyway, yeah, beauty and cuteness. I mean, yeah, Alita is really cute. There's no doubt about that. You know, I think the picture on the left, what is she, about 14 there? Although I would say mentally in that point there, her emotional development had already gone a little ways here, because going into a bar to face down you know, some hunter warriors. That's something a 14-year-old is not actually going to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's a general rule, you know. So I think at that point she had probably started realizing a little bit more about who she was.
Mm-hmm.
And of course she goes into the bar, I guess, because, you know, Ito wouldn't put her in the berserker body.
Yep.
And, you know, she's at this point, she's discovered the berserker body. So she has an idea that who she really is. So she's already starting to mature at that point. But certainly there, she looks like a typical teenager on the left, you know, to me, like 14, maybe 15 years old, you know, just basically a kid, you know, an adolescent, you know. And on the right, to me, she looks a little older there to me. She looks like she's probably 18 or 19 at that particular point. Because
well, according to the notes that Cameron had, Ito thinks or considers her to be at 14, but that's basically his bias because he starts thinking of her already at that point as his little girl.
Yeah,
almost
right.
as soon as he finds her. When in actuality, she is at the 18-year mark.
Yeah, and that's like kind of like when they put her in the berserker body. Ito and Gerhard, you know, and Gerhard said, "Looks like she's a little older than you thought," you know. And I remember when I saw the movie the first time, I said, "Yeah, yeah, she is older than you thought," you know.
Yep.
And I think
part of that was the in the notations, it was Ito's yearning to have his daughter back, and he was trying to use her as a replacement. So a lot of that was his own bias that he sort of projected onto her when he first found her.
Yeah. So anyway, she's on the right. She's more of a young woman there, I think, than she is on the left. Although I think she's well on her way on the left. There's no doubt about that, you know. But on the right, and particularly that scene where she's on the supply tube with Hugo, I think at that point, at least emotionally or mentally or whatever, I think she's more in her early 20s at that point, emotionally. Now we have to keep in mind that even on the left, she's over 300 years old. So, you know, kind of that kind of thing. But her mental makeup, you know, just her self-image of herself, you know, she's more of a teenager at this point, you know. But I think the fact that she is that old, 300 years old, to me, it's like her mental or her emotional, her maturity, I think accelerates faster because she's learning more and more about herself. And you remember when she was in the military, excuse me, I think when she starts to, you know, when they leave Mars to attack Earth, she's probably like 17, maybe 18 years old at that point, you know. So she's kind of catching up, you know, even when she's on the left, she's catching up, you know. But
well, I've got the feeling that when she was growing up, she probably wasn't given much of an opportunity to be a kid. So she probably grew up really fast in the armed military during the war.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, for sure. You know, and even when she was a toddler, she spent half of her time, if not more, trying to survive, her and Erica, you know, and it was, not much time to play with dolls, although I think she was carrying a doll at one point in Mars Chronicles. But yeah, not much of a time to be a little girl. You know, she was mostly you know, just trying to stay alive, you know, type thing. And, you know, I guess that can make someone grow up real fast too, you know, if they do that. So, and then of course, being in the military, now I was never in the military, and Lee, you could probably speak to this better than me, but I've heard people say, and of course, me having worked around military people, they say that really matures you. You know, you go through boot camp, and then you know, you get your first, you know, assignment, or they, you know, they'll send you to a post or a base or something like that. You do grow up, is from what I hear, you know. And somebody in the military that's 18 years old, you know, they are probably more mature than somebody that's 18 years old right out of high school. You know, that's my opinion. That's generalizing it a little bit, I think. But I think the military does cause you to kind of evolve mentally more because of the demands they put on you in training and stuff like that. Does that sound right, Lee, or what?
Yeah. Just being in the military, the lifestyle, you do have to grow up quite a bit. It's even more so for combat troopers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you know your life could end at the next second.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would cause you to grow up real fast, I think, you know. So now in the case of Alita, of course, that we kind of got off of her beauty and cuteness. We probably got into her personality a little bit. But you know, I think the fact that, you know, she was an berserker, you know, they have you know, basically they are more advanced than the regular grunts, you know, that would be fighting, say like in the infantry or something like that, because she was in special ops, you know. So yeah. So she's certainly going to be more talented at what her mission would be and stuff like that, as opposed to somebody who's just a grunt, you know, that's you know, carrying a rifle and fighting in the war. Now they're going to grow up pretty fast too, but in her case, I can imagine that she got extra training and stuff like that to make sure, you know, that she was top of the line, you know, and when we saw them going up the supply tube, her and Gelda and that looks like what was the remainder of their platoon, I guess, because there wasn't that many of them left, I guess. She was second in command, or at least it seemed that way, you know. So she's, you know, she's pretty mature at that point, you know, and I think here she's just catching up, you know, after being asleep for 300 years, you know. So
yeah.
But anyway, as you can see there, she's really cute. And you know, I think Hugo noticed this. And I think Hugo thought she was cute when she was in the doll body for sure. But you remember when she went looking for him when she was in that berserker body and she jumps down off of that building, you know, that whole scene where she's going from building to building, you know, after she after she does that handstand thing in front of Ito and all that, that was right out of that sonic finger thing, you know, that we went over a couple of weeks ago on Radio Chaos. You know, they took that right out of there, you know, I think. But when she jumped down, you know, from wherever it was, she was down on the street in front of Hugo, and Hugo looks at her and he said, I got the feeling, like, holy crap, she's nice. That's kind of what I felt like, you know, because Hugo, at least physically, it looks like he's a little more mature. I mean, he looks like he's probably 18 to 20 years old, you know. And usually somebody that's, say, 20 years old is not going to be too interested in a 14-year-old romantically anyway.
Yeah.
But in her berserker body, you know, oh yeah,
she looks a lot more mature in her berserker body.
Yeah, she's yeah, okay, yeah, I can deal with this. That's probably was his thought, you know. So but yeah, she's extremely cute. And I think that is the I guess the physical definition of UwU is cute. You know, that's the whole thing. But I think, particularly in her berserker body, I think she's physically beautiful myself, you know. In her doll body, she's cute, you know. I mean, cute like a 14-year-old or 15-year-old could be, you know. But in that berserker body, she's a young adult, you know, so she's going to be extremely nice looking, you know. Anyway, that's my thought on that. And if Angelus was here, he would be waxing lyrical about this one.
If he were here.
Yeah, you hear that, Angelus? If you're out there, you better get on here, bub.
Yeah, it's a pity he's missing out on this part.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, I'm looking at the DMs. He's still not, he hadn't sent me anything. So something may have come up, you know, perhaps, because this is his topic. He wanted to do it. So anyway, it's got to be pretty important if he didn't make it today, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other thoughts about her beauty or cuteness there? I mean, I know it's a kind of a shallow topic in a way, isn't it? You know, I mean, certainly she is cute.
I think the only thought I've got is the manga version, based on what we find out about her origin. I think it's probably a little surprising that she turned out to be as attractive as she is.
Yes. Yeah, we don't want to spoil the manga, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more than that. It's just considering her origin in the manga, it's a little surprising to me, at least, that she turned out as cute as she did.
Yeah, and the whole thing of it is, I remember when I read that, I went, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, she turned out real nice, you know, as a character for sure, you know, so. And I guess she has some of the same feelings that, you know, teenagers or very young women have, I guess. She doesn't have the endocrine system that humans have, but who knows, maybe the nanites or whatever is in her body.
I would imagine they've somehow got to have some kind of artificial analog to the biological systems that are required for that, because you would need them for a human to, you know, function normally. Yeah,
because if you remember, she was really attracted to Hugo. That's for sure. You know, she thought he was the best person on the planet. You know, which, of course, I remember when I saw that and saw Hugo doing what he was doing and all that stuff. I thought, oh my God, you know, she's going for this guy. You know, I got to talk to my niece about this. But anyway. So yeah, extremely cute. You know, one other thing I guess we could talk about here too is her eyes. I know that is one thing that freaked out a lot of people that had seen the movie, you know, about her eyes. To me,
yeah, I wasn't really freaked out. I just thought they were a little odd looking, but that lasted like I think 5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't even think that for 5 minutes, because I'd seen, you know, with my grandson, I had seen some like that movie Frozen, I guess. Those characters have big eyes. And I had seen some anime and had looked at some manga where the characters have big eyes. And to me, it never struck me as odd at all, because when she first opens her eyes at the beginning of the movie, I mean, I don't remember exactly what I thought, but my reaction was, well, how pretty, you know, I mean, because it does, I think, enhance her cuteness, I think. Yeah. Because one of the things about her I guess her irises being so big like that is I read somewhere that it kind of fosters more of a, you know, kind of a trust in the individual or something like that, or it enhances.
Yeah, it does something psychologically to people.
Yeah, I think so, you know. Okay, if anybody wants to come on and talk, I know we don't have a lot of folks out there, but there's the link right there. Just click on it, and now's your chance. If you're kind of afraid of talking in front of a lot of people, well, there's not a lot of people out there today, so come on and dip your toes in the water, as they would say, you know, and you know, learn how to get on the live stream and talk. So that means you, X-Man 577, if you want, or you, David Alexander, if you want to, or Finn. Of course, Finn's been on before, so he knows the drill. So, okay, well, I think we've established that our girl is really cute. So I think we know that was. And I guess if Angelus does ever come on, we'll have to go back to this slide probably, so he can kind of catch up on it, you know. Okay, her personality. Now this one here is going to be a little deeper, I think, because particularly in the manga, well, even in the movie, her personality evolves a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, from the point in time where she's in the doll body, and at the end of the movie where she's in the motorball body and has been in the berserker body and has lost her true love and stuff like that, you know, that's probably matured her quite a bit. So, you know, that's, you know, whether or not, you know, even when you lose somebody like that, you know, that's going to cause some kind of change in your personality. I won't call it growth, because that's kind of a, I don't know, that could almost, losing somebody's a negative thing, you know, but it does
more traumatic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. but as we said before, you know, Alita is extremely, I would say, loyal, or she's very empathetic. She's very compassionate. She's
that's something that's always struck me as a little bit odd. It's good that she is highly empathetic, but one of the things I have learned about combat troopers is in order to function on a battlefield where you've got people trying to kill you and that you're trying to kill enemy soldiers, you actually can't afford to have much, if any, empathy. You have to be able to dehumanize the enemy. So it's kind of interesting that she has this ability to be highly empathetic outside of a combat situation and still be able to be so merciless and so ready to kill at the drop of a hat the way she is.
Yeah. Well, if you remember in the manga when she fights Makaku, and Makaku, I guess, is dying, you know, I mean.
Oh, yeah, when in the plasma fireball, when she sets off those tanks.
Yeah, that's right. And she kind of understands him, doesn't she?
There is a bit of empathy there, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, you know. And even in the movie, when she slices off Zapan's face, after she slices it off and he's holding his face in his hand and he says, my face, you know. And they did a close-up of her face. It was almost like she had a little bit of sorrow for him, didn't it? I mean, the look on her face, to me,
I suppose it could have been. To me, it always looked more like she was a bit disgusted with him.
Well, she probably was that, because
I guess there could have been a bit of pity there as well.
Yeah, probably so. But I did feel like she had some feeling for him, you know. I mean, at that point, you know, of course, when we get that sequel, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Because I think the motorball arc in the Zapan
well, it was also with Gruishka at the end in the novelization, as she was killing him. She actually had a little bit of empathy for the kind of person he might have ended up being if he hadn't gone down the road he had been. Yeah. So she does have this strange sort of empathy, even as she is a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah. And yeah, cold-blooded killer with the ability to have a warm heart for those she loves and wants to protect. That is a weird dichotomy, isn't it?
Yes.
So, but and certainly, you know, she's very accepting as a person. I mean, pretty early on, you know, she accepts Ito as her father, you know, at least internally. Now, you don't really get that strong feeling that she has until the end of the movie when she says, "Thank you, Father," you know. But you get the feeling that, you know, she does recognize him as almost like a parental unit, you know, I would say, you know. And I guess probably putting her, you know, reanimating her and installing her in the doll body and then the berserker body would have something to do with that, you know. But you know, I think she's very compassionate. And there was another scene too. I almost forgot to bring it up, that when she's sitting on the table, you know, after she had pretty much kicked the crap out of those 3 cyborgs in the alley. But you know, she's sitting on there and Ito's checking her out to see that she's not injured or anything like that, I guess. And she's holding that picture of Ito's biological daughter. And, you know, just like, you know, he was telling her the story, and then she says, "Did you ever find peace?" You know, I really felt that she was extremely empathetic there at that point. Now, she kind of turned on a dime when she says, "Did you ever find peace?" And he says, "I found you," you know, and she says, "I'm not your daughter." That would be a typical teenager response right there.
Well, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that she was still trying to find out what she was. She had her identity had been completely wiped clean. Well, here's this guy who is being very fatherly to her, but she knows she's not actually his family.
Yeah.
So she's got all these holes in who she is, and she's missing huge pieces of herself.
Yeah.
That she doesn't even know how to go about rediscovering.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and she as much said so too, didn't she? I mean, you know, she said, "I don't know what I am," you know. I mean, she said that, you know, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. And of course, Ito tells her, you know, well, he doesn't tell her who she is, but he's, you know, I don't know what I am. He says, well, I do. And then starts talking about her core, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So at least that was a little bit about her, you know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at that point, she discovers she's 300 years old. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, that would probably knock a lot of people for a loop, you know,
Yeah.
if you were to suddenly go to sleep in your bed and you wake up and it's 300 years later for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be freaky. You know, I don't know if any humans that could withstand that kind of how would you say, stress or change in environment or whatever you want to call it. You know,
It would be a bit of a shock. Yeah.
yeah. And of course, she loves dogs because, well, at least in the manga, you know, there was that dog Duke Fang, I guess, that went down in the. I guess it went down in the underworld there when she was going after Makaku, and then of course in the anime, you know, there was that dog that
Mm-hmm.
that Grusika, I guess, or Grishka, or whatever they called him there. He sliced that dog up just like he did in the movie, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves animals, you know. I think
Seems to, yeah.
Yeah, you know. So you know, to me, all around well-rounded, good person, you know. Now, that said, on this personality thing, she can go sideways on you in a heartbeat if you present yourself as a threat, you know, or for some
That's
reason.
when her cold-blooded killer will come out.
Yes. So I don't think that you would have to walk eggshells around her if you were her friend, because if you're a friend, you're not going to be a threat. She's not going to do that. But the instant she thinks of you as a threat, you better beware, you know, because I mean, she's pretty fast in that body. You know, she could take you out really quick. You know?
Yep.
So you know, you don't want to piss her off, you know, as they would say, you know. So, and of course, I guess Gearhead is kind of like her mother figure, I guess, although they didn't go into that too much in the movie.
No, they didn't, but apparently they were supposed to, because that there was a interview with Idara Victor, the woman who played Gerhad.
Yeah.
And she did discuss the fact that Gerhad was supposed to be something of a mother figure to Alita.
Yeah. And of course, Gerhad's not in the manga or in the anime, but you know, I guess what was the guy's name? It was Gonzo or something.
Gonzu, I think.
Yeah, in the that was in the anime, wasn't it?
No, it was a manga.
Okay.
He was Ito's old friend.
Yeah, that's right. So, but anyway, she's yeah, she can flip a switch and get hostile, you know, pretty fast, you know, particularly if she perceives a threat, you know.
Yep.
Otherwise, she's a very kind person, I think, you know. She in the manga, you know, she actually starts a kind of a martial arts class, doesn't she? I mean, where she's teaching
after the motorball arc, yeah.
After the motorball thing was over, you know, it starts teaching folks how to defend themselves and stuff like that. Yeah. Which, boy, that'd be a great karate teacher to have, wouldn't that? You know, I mean, because certainly her techniques are meant for cyborgs, but you know, she could probably teach anybody how to fight, you know, and that kind of thing. And she knows kata, you know, because she did that in front of the mirror. You know, she can do that. Well, one of those moves was a kung fu move. It's called Snake Creeps Down. That was the one where she kind of gets on, you know, kind of bends way down, almost like a Cossack squat, you know, where she goes down and her, you know, hands pointing down toward the floor, and she has a kind of fist or something up in the air, or that kind of thing. That's called Snake Creeps Down. That's a classic kung fu kind of a movement right there, you know. And then of course she did that chain punch, and that was something that they did to honor Bruce Lee, you know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, you know. But anyway, she knows martial arts. She's competitive. She's extremely competitive, you know, and she loves competition. You know, she wants to find somebody who's as good or better than her, so she can see how she stacks up against them, you know. a lot of humans don't like that. They don't like competition, but, she does, for sure,
Yeah.
I know I love competition myself, and I certainly had a lot of it last weekend. So, but anyway, yeah, she's, I think she's just genuine. And we've said this over and over, even though she's a cyborg, she is a human. I mean, her brain is certainly human, but in my mind, even as when she has the Imaginos body, in that body, she's an android because she doesn't have any kind of human elements to her except for her personality. She's still Alita,
Yeah, even without the physical aspects of a human, she still has a very human personality.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, when she goes up to Zalem and runs into those kids or whoever it is she runs into, and they say, "Are you a robot?" And she says, "I am not a robot." Well, sorry, Alita. Yeah, you are. You are definitely, well, you're an android anyway. You may not be one to call a robot, but yeah, she's definitely.
Well, at that point, she also isn't aware that she has the brain chip either.
Yeah, that's right. So now she doesn't become aware of that till sometime later, I think, but
much later, yeah.
But even then, I think she's still very human because she's retained her human mentality, her human emotional, framework, and all of that. Because certainly that's because Nova's downloaded all that stuff, But that's still hers, it's still her, So, and of course, when she gets in the Zot, she's fighting for everybody on the ground, So, and that was one of those things where, I guess if they had lost that battle, I guess they were going to exterminate everybody on the ground. Is that what it was?
I think so. Like there was some kind of thing that was going to go on that were embody the guy in charge of the city up there out in orbit.
Yep.
He had some kind of orbital weapon that he was going to use to wipe the scrapyard off the map. Yeah. And I think he was going to destroy Zalem as well. So or anyway, Tefaris, as it was called in the manga.
Yeah, that's right. So she was fighting for the people in Iron City or the scrapyard and Tefaris or Zalem.
Well, not just them either. She actually and when she finds out about the Stellar Nursery Society.
Yes.
The ones taking care of all those orphans. She ends up taking it upon herself to try to find some way to save them as well.
Yeah, because weren't the Venusians were eating them, weren't they?
They wanted to.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of grisly. But,
yeah, the Venusians were a pretty interesting bunch.
Yeah, they were. Advanced cannibals, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, Alita, I think now Alita does, like I said, she has her dark moments where her personality is changed in the Badlands, I guess. She is
not just the Badlands, also in Last Order, she has that one moment where was it I cannot remember the guy's name. The space karate.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he had shown mercy, I guess, to her.
Yeah.
And she comes back and says something about you made a mistake letting me live, and now you're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah, that's so much for gratitude, right? Yeah. Now, as I recall, he kind of deserved it, I think. But
possibly. I can't remember much about that one. It's been so long since I've read it.
Yeah, but she does go through her dark periods, like particularly in the Badlands, where she has completely lost her humanity. Mainly because Zalem has lied to her. The people in a Toon program has told her that everybody she knows and cares about is dead or has abandoned her or something like that.
Yeah, she basically has nothing left to live for at that point.
Yeah, and so now I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do because
she's got nothing else.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then of course it wasn't until she meets Figure 4 until she becomes our girl again. But the Alita that was in the Badlands before Figure 4, I wouldn't want to run into her.
Nope.
That would be, you know, I mean, if you did run into her, you'd certainly want to befriend her. You wouldn't want to.
I don't think you could befriend her, honestly, at that point in your life.
Yeah.
She was it looked like she was very close to the Alita that she had been, very close to Yoko, the person she had been before she got dropped from orbit. And Yoko was not somebody I would ever want to associate with.
Yes. Yeah, she's pretty badass. I mean,
no, she wasn't even human at that point.
No, she was, I mean, killing, what was that? Operation Malwarf, wasn't it? Yeah, where she was going to kill all those folks that were in that, was colony ships, wasn't it? Or something.
It was multiple colony ships, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But also on top of that, she had somebody that she had known for some time from her time in the Künstlers, fellow Künstler.
Yeah.
He professed his love to her, and her response was to quickly kill him and call him a weakling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was less than heartwarming.
As opposed to saying, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in you, so, you know, let's move on. Instead, she kills him. Yeah, wow. Yeah, you
well, they were actually there was an order given. They had a bunch of other troops with them that had lost body parts to the point where they couldn't continue fighting. So they were given the order to kill all of the disabled because they were going to be going into basically do a suicide mission, and they didn't have any reason to keep them alive.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, her personality's been all over the place over the course of the story.
Yeah, I think so. You know, well, and you think, if you think about any of our lives, any of us, our personality has changed quite a bit throughout the you know, the whole, you know, stream of our lives. You know, certainly when you're a kid, your personality is going to be different than when you're an adult. You know, that's for sure. You know, but you know, and there's no reason why Alita wouldn't be the same thing. But yeah, Alita, yeah, in the Badlands, and when she was in the armed military, she was a cold-blooded killer. I mean, you know, she was the only way you could associate with her at all in any kind of friendly way is if you were on her side fighting and you were effective, and she recognized that, then you would be okay. But if it's like that guy that told her that he loved her, that, you know, she kills him, you know, so he's a weakling. No, I'm not interested in you. Boom, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's pretty bad, you know, in that one there, but her personality certainly is different in the movie, that's for sure, you know. And I would say toward the end of the movie that she is more like manga Alita, you know, when she,
it seemed like it. Yeah,
where
she had become much harder and a bit colder, it looked like.
Well, you know, just, you know, well, certainly killing Gorishka without a bat of an eye. I mean, it took her all of 10 seconds to get rid of him, you know. And then, you know, here's Vector, he's unarmed, you know, and she just runs him through, you know. Of course, now at that point, Nova and of course, Vector is partly responsible for Hugo, you know, the mess Hugo was in, although he was still alive at that point. But
not to mention, if she left Vector alive, what was he going to do? Go to prison? They don't have any prison. He was pretty much running the city practically.
Yeah, that's right.
So if she left him alive, how many more people would he end up killing?
Probably no limit, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was pretty bad. So, you know, that's one of those maybe justifiable killings, I guess, because for one thing, he was threatening Hugo and Ito, wasn't he? So
well, that was Nova.
But
Nova was the one threatening them, but Vector certainly was not innocent in Hugo's situation.
Well, certainly Vector would be on board with it too, I think. So he would.
No, he had no problem with it at all. No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Nova, and he did end up having Sharin sliced apart.
Yes. So, you know, and I mean, probably Alita, you know, at that point remembered that Sharin helped her, you know, so that's another reason for her to, you know, take care of him, you know. But Gosh, I remember seeing that scene the first time, and I hadn't read the manga, but I thought, God Almighty, she's a different person here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, just really bloodthirsty almost. You know, so.
Yep.
Okay, any other thoughts about who she is personality-wise there, Lee?
I think that pretty well covered it.
I think so. Okay, we're probably not going to hit this too hard because we've gone over this 2 or 3 times in the past, but for me, this is one of the things that makes Alita attractive to me. I mean, the fact that she's powerful, you know, like, you know, you look at that panel on the left there, who knows how much that damn thing weighs? I mean, that thing could weigh 2 tons. We have no idea. And she's picking that sucker up with one hand and holding it up over her head.
Yep.
I mean, holy crap, you know? So, yeah, it's funny. This reminds me of something I was when I was competing last weekend. I sent a text to my strength coach who wasn't able to go with me last weekend, but we stayed in touch. You know, text wise, he told me what to do warming up and stuff like that. You know, and I texted him a thing back. Said, "Man, there's 2 or 3 really cute blondes here." He takes something, you got to keep your mind on what you're doing, you know, kind of thing, you know. So, yeah, that's, you know, I mean, she's, to me, this makes her attractive to me. The fact, now, granted, she's a fictional character. That's understood, you know, but, you know, if, you know, that, to me, someone who can do something like this is, it's just more attractive to me. That's just who I am. That's just my makeup, you know.
Yeah.
Now that on the left, that's she's in the Imaginos 1.0 body there. On the right, that's the Imaginos 2.1 body, and she is godlike or goddess-like in that.
Actually,
body.
the one on the left. Oh, I see. Well, you talking about the right one was a 2.1 body?
Yeah, the right is a 2.1. Okay. Yeah. And the one on the left, I think, is the 1.0 body, I think. So she's an android, you know, in those 2 pictures right there. But
actually, in the left one, she didn't have a brain chip.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because that was the original ending that Kishiro put together when he thought he wasn't going to have time to complete the story, so he kind of rushed the ending a bit. Okay,
so see that. Okay, now I'm confused because it's been so long since I've read the manga. Is that before or after the baby bomb?
After the baby bomb. After the baby bomb, she gets the Imaginos body in both versions.
Yeah. So she's got kind of an Imaginos body, but she has a human brain. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the real ending that Kishiro had wanted to put together, that's the one where Nova pulls that fast one on her. And both rebuilds the original Alita and creates another Alita.
Well, at this point, too, well, no, they'd already gotten rid of all of the ARs except for Zex. I think Zex was still around because Zex had killed all the ARs. So he was the last one, right? AR6.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think all the AR units were gone at this point. Well, no, Elf and Swerve were still alive.
Oh,
so
yeah. So there were 3.
He didn't kill them all. Yeah. So, yeah, Finn, you must read the manga. You got to do it. He says this every time. Yep. Yeah, I tell you, Finn, when you start reading the manga, it's going to be hard to put it down. So just buckle up for that.
Yeah, I ended up binging it the few times I picked it up, so it didn't take me long to get through it at all.
Yeah, I got up one night, like I've said before, you know, I woke up, I was having trouble going to sleep. So I said, I'm just going to get up and read a little bit. So I started reading the manga, and the next thing I know, it was 5:30 in the morning. So
yeah, I think it took me less than a week to get through the entire manga all the way to Last Order. To the end of Last Order.
Yeah, I couldn't devote that kind of time to it because my work schedule was a little heavier than it is now. Not that it's light now, but you know, it's
seems like it's pretty heavy still, actually.
Yeah, it is pretty, I guess. Of course, part of that's Alita, and I don't mind. So but yeah, I think Alita here is she's got some abilities, and even in her berserker body, she has abilities that are way beyond humans, even in that, because you know, in the manga, and we've said this before, so we don't need to spend too much time here, but in the manga, she can run Mach 6.8, you know, in that berserker body, which is nearly 7 times the speed of sound. So, I mean, there's no human that can run 7 times the speed of sound.
Yep.
You know, unless they might be able to go 7 times the speed of sound if they were in a, you know, in some kind of spacecraft or something like that. But they're not
they
going to
need
be
a
able
vehicle to be able to do anything like that.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do that just running. And of course, in her Imaginos body, she can run near the speed of light. So certainly no human's going to do that, you know. So
yeah, not even in a vehicle, at least not today's vehicles.
That's exactly right. So, and of course, that super strength she has. And in her Imaginos 2.1 body, she can actually hack systems, you know. And I think there's a thing in the manga where she hacks. Does she hack Melchizedek? I can't remember now, because I remember she goes into it to find Lu, doesn't she?
Well, I think she accesses it after Cerula gives her the Fata Morgana.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It has been a while. I went through Last Order so fast. There are still parts of it I don't quite remember that clearly.
Yeah. God, I need to start reading the manga again. I've only read it once. So, oh, by the way, chapter 9, I think it is now, and Mars Chronicles out, I think. I got to get that. So I saw somebody on Instagram post it, you know, that they had chapter 9. Oh my God, I got to get on Amazon and buy it, you know. So, but you know, here's Alita. Now, of course, the Creek has said this. Now, don't take this as creepy, but I really like that tail. So yeah, that tail does something for me. I don't know what it is. And then of course on the left, you know, being able to, well, she could do this with the body on the right too, but being able to pick up that heavy ass innards, you know, from that suicide machine, you know, I mean, God,
she has immense physical power. Yeah.
And I guess, well, she doesn't have that, the antimatter microreactor heart in she does not have that in the Imaginos body, does she? Because that got blown to bits, I guess, when
well, the one on the left, she certainly doesn't have anything like that because the story didn't have time to progress to that. The Last Order version of her, though, I think she had a wormhole reactor of some kind. It was something that had to do, some kind of power source that had to do with wormholes and a microsingularity or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was absurdly advanced power system, which ended up getting taken from her at the start of Mars Chronicles.
Yeah, at least volume 7.
Or got taken from her at some point between the end of Last Order and the beginning of Mars Chronicles.
Yeah, I think that was volume 7 where she had gone to Venus or something, and they somehow subdued her, I guess, and took it away from her or something like that. Because you remember there was that one, there was that one android or cyborg or whatever that looked like Alita that tried to kill Queen Limera, and they thought it was Alita, you know?
Was that in Mars Chronicles?
In Mars Chronicles, yeah.
I haven't really read through Mars Chronicles.
Well, Mars Chronicles volume 7, I think it was, and they captured the real Alita, and they thought it was her that tried to kill Queen Limera, but it wasn't, you know. Queen Limera was that Queen of Mars or something like that.
Yeah, the young girl that was queen.
Yeah, that carried that doll around with her and stuff like that. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so now this Alita cannot fly like Superman, but man, I'm telling you, her strength is awesome.
Yep.
You know, I mean, she's many times stronger than any kind of human being could ever hope to be, you know. I think even, and I believe in her Imaginos 2.1 body, she's even stronger in that body than she is on the Imaginos 1.0 body. And look how freaking strong she is. I mean, you know, I mean, if I think we talked about this a couple of months ago. What would it be like to date Alita? you better not piss her off.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That could be a wide-ranging subject because depending on which version of her at which point in the timeline she is, you're going to get very different results, I think.
Yeah. Also, and one other thing too about this, you probably could not date her if she's a real person, obviously, but you probably couldn't date her when she was in the Badlands arc.
Yeah,
she's not going to date anybody in the Badlands arc, you know. But I think even in you know, when she gets first brought to life by Ito, and even in a good part of the Last Order, you know, you probably could befriend her and you know, start some kind of relationship with her. But one of the things is that if she perceives you as a threat, you know, you're going to be in big trouble, you know. So you so, but of course,
well, that's the thing though. It seems like at around Last Order, it seemed like with as powerful as she had become, she seemed to be losing a little bit her ability to relate to regular people.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's understandable. I mean, you know, you got a being like this that can hack into systems, has orders of magnitude strength better than they have, orders of magnitude, many orders of magnitude speed advantage. You know, her fighting ability is probably way above any human, you know. So, I mean, you know, it's not like she would become arrogant, but I just think it's just a matter of this is who she is. And you got all these other folks around here. And the reason why she can't relate to them is because they're nothing like her, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because she's become well, to put it delicately, I don't think it's because she's an asshole or anything. I just think, you know, she's just has nothing in common with them except maybe a little bit of her humanity, you know, but that's about it. You know, I mean, I think it'd be very difficult. But I do think her personality, there would be enough of her personality with her that she might find it difficult to relate to people, but I don't think she would be.
Yeah, I don't think she'd be unnecessarily cruel or callous.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. So, you know, I think she would definitely be a generally speaking, a good person. You know, I think she would be, but yeah, it's understandable that she's got what she.
I was just thinking that might be one of the reasons that Kashiro took away the Imaginos body as well at the end of Last Order, or after the end of Last Order, at the start of Mars Chronicles. Because I think maybe he realized that not only was her power level gotten to the point where she was just, I mean, nothing could even slow her down.
Yeah.
But it might be that it was, I think he saw maybe that would have some kind of a psychological effect on her, helping to separate her from other people, which I don't think he wanted.
Yeah. Well, you know, I guess there's some stories in DC where Superman has hard time dealing with people.
Oh yeah, there was
from time to time.
I think it was Justice League, or Justice League Unlimited. I think it was.
Yeah.
Superman is fighting Darkseid, and he's mentioning out loud that basically one of the biggest problems he's got is he feels like he's living in a cardboard world with cardboard people, because the slightest move that he makes, if he's not careful, could hurt or kill somebody.
Yeah. And he feels like he's holding back. Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah. So probably Alita feels the same way in these bodies right here, you know, at least to a degree, you know. And I think the Flash is even like that. I remember there was that one scene where I guess the Flash meets Batman, you know, and Batman's sitting in his it wasn't an apartment. It was basically, he was living in like a garage or something. But, you know, Bruce Wayne sitting in there and introduces himself to the Flash, you know, and after the Flash figures out he's Batman and stuff like that. And he said, remember, he said, I find people are difficult, you know, because he moves so fast, you know, he finds it difficult.
Yeah, he has to consciously slow down even the rate at which he thinks.
Yeah, that's right. And remember, Bruce Wayne says, "Well, I'll try to keep up." You know, so yeah, which is going to be difficult.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, but I think you know, Alita's basic personality would stop her from becoming a. You know, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't think Alita would be in that category because I think her she's moved past her Yoko stage, you know, and I think she generally likes herself past the Badlands arc.
yeah.
She generally likes herself, you know.
Yeah, I think in Last Order, she had that moment where she finally accepted who she was
Yes.
and integrated who she had been with who she had become.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, she actually had a little bit of, I guess, remorse too that she wasn't able to continue her relationship with Figure Four. At least this Alita. Now that the human Alita certainly could, you know, but this Alita could not, you know. And that she remember what was it said that she couldn't keep the most the most important promise she couldn't keep, you know, or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then she sets off for Venus, I guess. So that's when I guess Ito says, "Oh, you know, when here's Figure Four, you know, he's hugging on human Alita, you know," and Ito kind of looks up and he says, "I wonder what happened to the other Alita," or something like that, you know. It was something like that. Anyway, it's been so long since I've read the manga that I can't remember that, but
yeah.
So anyway, Alita is not a superhero, but she certainly has that level of capability. That's for sure, particularly in this body right here. But even in her berserker body, you know, where actually even in her doll body, she could kick any human's butt, probably, you know, being a cyborg. But I don't think she's orders of magnitude better than a lot of humans, you know. But in her berserker body, and certainly in these Imaginos bodies, she's many orders of magnitude has more abilities than humans do, and even most cyborgs, you know. Okay, any other thoughts about this? Yeah, this Alita right here could probably take out an entire division of armed troops. probably by herself. Yeah, by herself.
Considering based on what little I know about an object moving at near light speed, just her moving through the air would cause destructive energies.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it would heat the air around them, and it
would do more than that. Once you start approaching, you know, even fractional light speeds, the amount of energy being given off would be massive.
Yeah, it'd probably cook them where they stood.
And I think vaporize them, actually.
Yeah, I think so. But if Angelus was here, he would say this. She sure looks cute here as well. Okay, here's another thing that endears us to Alita. Is her perseverance and determination. You know, particularly if those she loves and cares about are being threatened. As long as she's got an ounce of life in her body, she is going to be doing what she's doing right there to Grishka, sticking her hand in his eye, you know. God,
well, I think that's goes beyond even having people that she cares about being threatened. I think it's just she just has this determination and perseverance. She just doesn't stop, like they was saying in the movie. Gelda, I think, was saying in the movie. It's like she just won't ever stop.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I guess Elle Lamont said one time we were interviewing her, that one of the things about Alita that she knew about, that she just does not stop, you know. You know, where it would look, even where it looks hopeless, she's not going to stop. She's going to keep going, you know. So, and this picture right here is a testament to that, isn't it? I mean, she's, you know, here she is hacked to bits like that, and she still manages to get that hand in his eye. And I remember the first time I saw this, when I saw the movie the very first time, it just knocked my head off. I mean, God Almighty. And then said, "Fuck your mercy" after that. Man, it just, I said, "Oh, I got to see this movie again." You know, I mean, it was great, you know. So, but yeah, I think if she's a very objective oriented person. I mean, if she has a target, she's
once she gets her mind set to something, she doesn't let it go unless she has a real good reason to, and otherwise she'll follow it through to the very end.
Yeah, I think so. Now the one time I guess she didn't do it was when Operation Malwar. If you remember, that was a suicide mission, and she did not commit suicide. So, which that's good for us, right? Because we got the character to continue. Of course, I don't think Kashiro would. There is Künstler 99. How's it going there, Künstler 99?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. I saw that. What was that? That drink smoker that you put together? It's funny. I used to be kind of a bartender of sorts, and I didn't know what that thing was. So.
Yeah, no, it's one I just I've been working on since like March on design, but it's basically it's battery powered. It's got a fan.
Yeah.
It sucks the smoke up into it, and that works great. I'm working on selling. I'm working on starting to sell them online as just a my own small business thing. So kind of breaking away from the signage stuff and trying to get something that's unique, that's really niche, and is going to have a demand.
Well, I know you probably can't mass produce it, but can you produce them quick enough to meet demand, I guess? Or
yeah, well, basically it's a single file. Well, basically I can keep running the same file over and over and over again. So all I got to do is basically just have the right dimension of wood, clamp it down, and run the machine. And so on the machine, to make one of them, the machine part, it'll take about an hour, maybe a little bit less. And then by hand, there's about an hour for each of assembly. So I gotta put myself on mute here real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. So cool. We got Künstler 99 on. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I sent him a link before the stream. But anyway, back to Alita here. Yeah, I think even when she was Yoko, she was like this. I mean,
no, definitely. I think it's very much a very foundational part of our character.
Yeah, I think so. And this is one of the, I wouldn't call it an ability, but I guess it would be like you said, a foundational part of her as a person that didn't get wiped out out of her memory like that. I mean, it's just her driving force, I guess. That she's going to achieve the objective. Yeah, she's going to. The only thing that would stop her if she was going to take it through to the end would be if you'd have to kill her. It'd be the only thing, and that would be a very difficult task.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Gorishka was pretty close to killing her down there in the, down in the, I guess, in the underworld, if it hadn't been for Hugo, Ito, and McTeague, but once she got in that berserker body, there's no way he's going to kill her there. She's got him every time, because she's way too fast for him. She's even stronger than he is, because even though he's big like that in that berserker body, she could probably throw him, I mean, he's not going to be able to, well, as we saw in the movie, he could not cope with that. I mean, she's just too fast, so plus she's got that plasma weapon, but I think, that determination, man, to me, this is one of her, I won't call, maybe it's like a superpower, I guess. But this is one of the things I really like about her, she's as a character, is that she will not stop. There is just no way you're going to stop her unless you kill her. That's the only way you're going to be able to stop her. And of course, that is going to be very difficult to do, killing her because of her abilities. I mean, and of course, in the manga, she actually either dies or come close to dying several times. So, she, certainly the baby bomb blew her to bits, and she ended up being put back together by Nova, I guess. And then in the Zot, you know, she got blown to bits there too. She seems to have an affinity to get blown to bits. And then
it does seem to be an occupational hazard for her, yeah.
Yeah, and she reassembled real fast, you know. I guess the group on Jupiter did that, and you know, sent her back, I guess, you know, to Earth, and she continues to fight in the Zot, you know, probably with Toji, is like he blew her to, like she got blown to bits and then reassembled within a microsecond, you know, in terms of how he perceived it, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, holy crap, you know. So I mean, and she just kept going, you know, and of course, you know, we get an idea of her. I wouldn't say she's fearless, but I would say that she knows how to take fear and use it to her advantage, you know. Mm-hmm. And you can see Gorwishka is many times bigger than her, but in that fight in the Zot where she's fighting Toji is like 15 meters tall.
Yep.
And she's like 1.5 meters tall. So I mean, he's like 10 times bigger than her, and she ends up kicking his ass. So I mean, it was you know, it's pretty amazing. Well, I guess kicking his ass is not a good description for it, because he ends up grabbing Zeka, and they go into some teleportation thing or whatever, and he takes him to another location, Zeka, I guess. And then that was the end of the Zot, I guess. So they the Space Angels won, you know. So, but anyway, that's another example of her determination. Even though she is faced right there by an opponent that's 10 times bigger than her, I mean, you know, she had no reservation. She had no hesitancy, you know, to go after him, you know. So, and that's another part of that determination, you know.
Yeah, I think she uses fear as a mechanism to wake up muscle memory.
Yes. Yes, I like, when I go to a competition, I like to channel this. You know, I didn't get a chance last week to watch that scene, you know, from a movie where she's in the I guess she was in the locker room, you know, with Ito, you know, where, you know, she's about to go out for her tryout, and she's just happy-go-lucky and all that, because, you know, when you compete, sometimes the nerves can get to you, you know, and you know, but I'd like to try to channel that. I mean, that to me, it's almost like one of my mental preparations, you know, when I do these kind of things, you know, knowing. Now, granted, again, she's a fictional character, but, you know, we can learn from movies. There's no problem there, you know. So, but anyway, that's kind of the whole thing about her. And of course, that perseverance is, she is going to continue. She's going to keep coming no matter what, you know. I mean, you're going to have to kill her to stop her, you know. So that's the only way she's going to stop, you know, you know, unless she breaks it off for some reason, for a good reason. But if she doesn't do that, you're going to be contending with this person that just will not go away, you know. So yeah, that's just who she is, you know. Any other thoughts about guess who just showed up? Man, I knew we was gonna do this. So what we're gonna have to do here, because I think we hit this.
We start all over again.
You're just a little late.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to this one just so Angelus can go back so he can get in on this one. You know, in other words, kind of here's where we were, Angelus. This was the first slide after these guys right here.
Yeah.
And of course, we noted that, yeah, gosh, you're missing out on your favorite part of the the discussion. her overall cuteness, you know.
I was having a dream of Alita, and I didn't want to wake up, so.
Oh, you overslept. I think you got your YouTube is on there, Angelus, I think. So, yeah, I was hearing some feedback anyway. So anyway, yeah, you definitely have your YouTube on. So, because I can hear it. Yeah, there we go. But anyway, what's your thoughts about this? Because we know what you're going to say, but we want to ask you anyway. What's your thoughts about Alita's beauty and cuteness there, Angelus?
She is a cyber goddess.
You betcha. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit about how on the left she's mostly cute, but on the right she's more of an adult, and that would be more. Well, she's attractive in both shots there, I guess. But she's more like an adult on the right, I think, whereas on the left she's more of a teenager. But hey, what the heck? She's cute in both of them. So.
You see, when I first started reading the comic book, I was like 16 years old. So
yeah,
it totally hit different. Just because of being at that age and her character being as young as she was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fell in love with the comic book. I mean, it was great. But no, as far as the character too, it was so relatable, and obviously, of course, 16 years old, you're like, oh yeah, the character's great.
Yeah. Yes, our girl's cute. There's no doubt about it, And of course, her opponents that kind of mistake that cuteness for weakness. They are really taking their lives in their own hands, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, we already went over that one, didn't we? There we go. So anyway, we ended up here. So any thoughts about this, Jeff, or Künstler rather, and Angelus, about her perseverance and determination?
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as determination goes, man, you can't, this is the most perseverant character I've come across in any universe. I mean, again, I know you got characters in like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that are, it's just, this is I cannot imagine, it takes the limits of what I thought would ever be humanly possible to someone's psyche, and this just breaks those barriers. And
yes,
there's such unique psychological twists to it too, that it really emphasizes the questions that are really being asked, and and that means, what does it mean to be human?
Yeah.
And so it's really got to stretch to the breaking points and beyond for it to kind of emphasize those points in Kishiro's writing. And this character really portrays that perseverance to a borderline inhuman level, but obviously her human brain and psyche are all still intact. So it's definitely something that comes across and is relatable, but is also something that, as a viewer or a reader, you look at that and you find inspiration in it, and you find you're also challenged to try to be that.
Yes. Well, that whole thing about perseverance, that's kind of survivability, isn't it? I mean, she goes through so much in the manga, whether it's the Mars Chronicles or the original manga or the Last Order. I mean, she is put to the test continuously, isn't she?
Yep.
And she comes through it every single time, and even those times where she got blown up by the baby bomb and she got, I guess, blown up in the Zot and came back and got reassembled and came back. It's just like, you can't keep her down. You just can't do it. I mean, she's going to survive, and she's going to sustain whatever it is she's doing. She's going to do it, so that's one of the things about this character I really like, that she's able to do that no matter what the obstacles are. She can do this, and that's one of the things I like about Alita, so. Any thoughts?
Oh, wait, I'm muted.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say it's a balance of, for example, I was just thinking, well, I guess if I wanted to try to be as objective as possible, in a character or a world like let's take a common one that most of us would know, Dragon Ball. Like from the get-go, we know that it's a very fantastical world. So there's no connection of, I guess, for lack of a better term, a connection of reality with that world, but we can still relate to their struggles. Like, I mean, how often does like someone like, I mean, Den being a perfect example, but how often does a character like Goku or Vegeta inspire someone to train harder in the gym, for example? But like coming full circle back to Alita, when I say that I think it's a balance of things, it's not just because she also struggles herself, but her struggles quite often mirror our own.
Yes.
Which makes this particular like bullet point all the more like prevalent or meaningful, and it extends to both the like the physical perseverance as well as the like spiritual sort of thing.
Yep. Well, it's certainly something we can learn from as humans, isn't it? I mean, anybody that's read the manga, that's you, Finn, out there. If Finn says he wants to read the manga, and he says it every time, but that's okay. But yeah, you see her going through all of these different, you know, situations that are difficult, existential or life-threatening, a lot on the line, you know, and she still keeps on, you know, she still keeps going, you know. I mean, that's the, you know, that's the thing, you know. And even in the movie, there's so many people against her, and she still continues to go, you know. I mean, you know, just keeps on keeping on, I guess is the word. Okay, anything else, you guys? And I guess we could go ahead and bring this up. Well, here now, this was from a couple of weeks ago, but you know, a couple of things we could mention about her. I don't know how much this would contribute to her UwU. Now, certainly the compassion and empathy, that's part of that thing we talked about her personality. But you know, we could talk about the technology part of her. I mean, you know, I mean that she's got that antimatter microreactor heart, you know, in the doll body and the berserker body, and of course she's got that singularity powered heart that she has in the Imaginos body, which is even more powerful than this particular heart. But you know, what else? I mean, she's got a brain chip or whatever. What is there anything technology wise like that kind of makes her I don't know if I'd say attractive, but I would say worthy.
Unique.
Yeah, unique or worthy of our admiration or something like that.
I've got a few points, but I want to see if anyone else picks up on it, or rather, if what I have in my mind right now mirrors what anyone else might have. And then obviously,
well,
I was.
I don't know if mine was going to mirror anyone's, but the one thing I was going to bring up about anything else was just as far as like what was going on in like her head, or just part of who she is as a character on the thought, the personality, the mentality front.
Yeah,
she was at some point she was a manipulated victim that caused the fall.
Yep.
And within that, or because of that, like there was just a break. There was obviously the 300 years of being in like stasis or standby mode, you know, caused there to be memory issues in the brain. But at the same time, you're probably also looking at her that protective mechanism of forgetting the trauma, which, to be honest, was pretty much her entire childhood.
Yes.
Up until her being a soldier, up until the actual, fall, when basically her actions basically caused devastation to Earth.
Yes.
So within that, her character is built off of someone trying to recover from some extreme psychological trauma.
Yeah.
That is part of what defines her character, and who she is, she doesn't play the victim card. She doesn't really even see herself as a victim, but we find those out down the line. But it shows why and how she reacts the way she does.
Yeah.
And also when you see how, like, when it comes to certain people's characters, of how much their life is not valued and how much she was willing to just squash them, and to some, you see her mercy, kind of her benevolence, or not that she has much of that, but or her sympathy, kicks in when it comes to certain characters. And so you see that, and you kind of see that in that development of what she had with Erica.
Yeah. It's almost like it's some form of post-traumatic stress disorder, isn't it? I mean, in terms of what you were saying there about her recovering from such a dramatic, kind of a mental, I guess, attack on her being, or whatever you want to say. To me, it's
100% PTSD, 100%. But the complexity to that is enhanced by the loss of memory and building that back up over the course of the entirety of the first series of the manga. I mean, and that's the thing. There's so little revealed through the first 9 books before Last Order that, like, even to her character, she knows next to nothing about herself until until she's up in Salem, and then it also makes so much more sense as of why she has all those memories back as well. The reason why she has all of them back makes so much sense when you find out way later in Last Order, as far as the whole brain chip situation. So yeah, but just as far as all those characteristics, it's interesting. And what I find interesting even still in Last Order is you kind of see her have a shift of, like, I don't want to say she's totally different than what she was in like the original series, but there's like a personality shift slightly. It's slightly, and if you think about it, it's partly because yes, she's Alita, but there's two, and is she just as much Alita as Zex is Alita? Because they were kind of created the same way, with the same memories, and then you're just on, so it's interesting.
Yeah, Lee and I were talking about that a while ago, about how she had, in the Last Order, particularly toward the latter half of it, I guess, she has difficulty relating with humans, and that is kind of a personality shift, I think. Whereas in the original series and in the movie, she's like, well, she thinks of herself as a human, and we all think she's a human, but I mean, she doesn't have that inner, I guess you would say, conflict like that she has in the Last Order. So anyway.
No, that's actually a really good point. And yeah, you're right. In Last Order, you really do see that paradigm shift, or not. Yeah, I mean, you see her a little bit of shift in that personality, and I think part of it, may be the fact that you have both she has all of the memories of her past,
Yeah.
And the memories of the surface as well.
Yeah.
And then she's battling with trying to reconcile now that she has both.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's such a crazy journey with
Yeah,
that
it is.
whole like Last Order. But yeah, I mean, again, I think that it's one of those things where you have to go through the full journey of the manga to really pick up on.
Yes.
That's what we saw, like all the way back to the beginning with volume 1 of the original, where you're like, oh, okay, this makes a heck of a lot more sense now of why these things, or why she did what she did. And that's where it really shows how much thought the whole story had before he even started writing the first one, was the fact that he kind of knew that he was going to kind of take it there eventually, that's what happened, that she remembers, and that it's this journey of dealing with all that. So I just appreciate the accuracy of how a PTSD character would react in those circumstances, and it's very much so that.
Yeah. Lee, do you have any thoughts about this along those lines too? Because I know you've spoken about this a couple of times, something similar, I guess.
Not really at the moment, no.
Anything else you can think of, though, about Alita that we might have missed that would contribute to her UwU?
To her
Well,
UwU? Not really. To her being unique.
Yeah.
There was that fact that apparently the water in her brain had been replaced with some kind of a polymer or something like that. That seemed unusual.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, that would do something to your chemical, I guess, because your brain really relies on electrical impulses and chemical.
Well, apparently it was some kind of substance that was put into place that didn't interfere with the rest of the brain's function, but it made it so that she was able to withstand forces and damage that a normal human brain wouldn't be able to withstand.
Yeah.
Like with a normal person, if you get hit in the head hard enough, you can get a concussion.
Yeah.
Apparently that didn't really happen to her.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of happened with her with A2 on the surface.
Yeah, on the surface it did, but I think in the Last Order is what he was talking about. So
well, yeah, but in that, what it's referencing is that her brain was always like that.
Well, she certainly survived that. Her brain survived that fall from Zalem or Jeru, whichever version you choose to accept. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. There was indications that it was actually done to her, and it wasn't something that was always like that.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I'm not really.
At the same time, though, that was how he found her brain after he had whisked her up to Zalem.
Yeah.
And was building her back together, which. Like, because when you first see those panels, I mean, you're led to believe that was shortly after he was able to get basically into Zalem with her remains, I believe. Or, you know what? All right, now the fact they had to do the reconstruction of the brain with that, but that's the thing. The reason why he would bring that up, though, would be because that's how he found it, though. That's at least the context that I remember it.
Yeah.
Not that I have it right in front of me, because otherwise that's something that, like, why would he do that if he was going to not ever have her brain in her body to begin with?
Yeah. Yeah, good points.
So, I mean, it leads me to believe that that's how he found it, which means that's how she was since the fall and before.
Yeah. Angelus, any thoughts from you on this? Did anybody come close to what you...
Similar? No. My angle was that like we look at beaten up old bomb of a car, and you know, while we might have fond memories of it, and it's beautiful to us, to anyone else, it's just a hunk of junk.
Yeah.
But then again, you go into I don't know, like one of my cars, thanks to Fast and Furious, was the Toyota Supra. Like when that was done up in the movie, I thought that looked really cool.
I used to have one of those
And
cars. Yeah.
and that's sort of how I felt, even from a UwU perspective, especially in the context of her cyber bodies, because like all her doll body, for example, in the manga, it's just like thrown together from spare parts, and in the movie, it's, you know, Tokito created it. Excuse me. And but then you move on to the Berserker body, move on to Majnos, and that's when you start getting into your BMWs and Lamborghinis sort of thing, and like just I guess, cybernetic UwU, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Well, I know in her doll body, I've said this before, in her doll body, she's cute, you know. In her Berserker body, I think she's more, the character is more beautiful from, you know, being a kind of an adult female perspective, you know. I mean, you know, whereas in her doll body, it's more like, yeah, she's a cute teenager and all that, but that's all it is, you know. And I think Hugo saw that as well.
And in the same, yeah, I'm not muted. In the same context, let's go from a human angle. Like to us, our own child as a baby, well, and as they grow up, like would look cute to us, but you know, to a random stranger, it's just a child.
Yeah.
Same with Alita's doll body, for example. Like to us as fans, you know, we looked deeper and beyond the story. We saw like all the intricacies and the detail of the doll body, stuff like that.
Yep.
But once that Berserker body hit the scene, it's like everyone just went like head over heels for it. So yeah, it's like even from a physical standpoint, her cybernetic bodies make me go UwU.
Yep. Well, UwU is basically, as we said a while ago, is more. It's literally means cute, I guess, you know. But and she is cute, you know, in her doll body, you know. But to me, she looks more attractive in her Berserker body than she does in her doll body in the movie, anyway, you know. And Maxie would maintain that her motorball body is going to be the best, you know. So I think that's what he would say. So
yeah, and I guess even in a way, like I wouldn't say ages, but matures, I guess.
Yes.
Like just the design of the bodies. Like obviously we saw the what felt like the childlike nature of the doll body, and then, you know, the more adult orientated Berserker body.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized it's almost 6, so I got to head out.
All right, Lee. Well, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, no problem. You guys take care. Have fun.
You betcha.
Always.
Anything else, guys?
No, I just wanted to like bring up that sort of comparison, because like I was just, for some reason I was just thinking about, you know, it'd be nice if I you know, had more hours, so I could buy a new car. And then all of a sudden the car angle hit me because like you know, one of my other favorite cars from a game actually this time was the BMW M3, and I thought like that looks like a nice sleek car. And then all of a sudden when it hits the, when I tabbed back to the live stream, I saw Alita's doll body, and it's like, wait a second, that's almost like a similar sort of what's the word I'm looking, parallel to the progression of Alita's cyber bodies.
Yes.
So like you know, I went from like a very old 1980s Toyota Corolla to like a 1991 random Korean car to the car I have now, which is like a 2016 or 17 Honda CRV, I think it is.
Yeah, my first car was a 1964 Opel Kadett. That's back when I was like 18 or something like that, 17 or 18.
But even then, like you get like your real classic cars.
Yeah.
Take care of it, do it up.
Yep.
And they will look beautiful, even if it is only going to look beautiful to yourself or the small circle of I can't English today, car enthusiasts sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I drive a 2013 Subaru Outback, and I try to keep that thing up, and that's my favorite car right there. And I used to drive a Jeep, you know, and it was, I tell you, in terms of durability, that Jeep was amazing. I mean, that sucker had 250,000 miles on it before I sold it. So, you know, but all right. Well, I guess.
And Alita's body had 300 years on it.
That's right. That's right. 300 years old, yeah.
Sweetheart, you are.
Yes, indeed. So I guess Angelus, you're getting a lot of feedback on your mic there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I just it kind of discombobulates me when I try to speak and I hear my voice come back at me, you know. So, well, anyway, I guess we kind of went over all of these, and of course, the Creek thinks that all of the above is what, to me, gives her so much UwU, you know, because she is cute. There's no doubt about it. But I just think her, you know, how she is in protecting those she knows and loves, you know, those folks that are important to her, friends and family. The fact that she's as powerful as she is something that really I love in her as a character, you know. And that fourth bullet right there is really kind of the last nail in the coffin for me. That, to me, that's what makes her an outstanding character, you know, that she has all of this wrapped up into one package, you know. So and she is, to me, even though she's fictional for sure, but to me, she's like the perfect you know, kind of a character for this. So, you know, that's just my opinion. So anyway, Angelus, what's your thoughts on her, about what all of the things that makes her have so much UwU?
Pretty much goes back to the point that I had earlier, where like while characters like Goku or, you know, even any other random anime that you might like, we might still have like various aspects of them that we can relate to. The fact that like hers feels so much more closer or so much more real is because like it can run parallel to our own. It can mirror our own struggles and and so forth. And that's why for such a, what most people would call a niche IP or a niche character, it has so much appeal to the rest of us.
Yes, indeed.
And it's probably why that, despite how many changes there are, the fact that Cameron was still able to create a story that, like, kept, no pun intended, the core of the story intact. So, like, that little particular fact about the movie just blows my mind. So,
well, of course, that third bullet's going to be important for me because, I mean, being a power lifter, and I see all of her abilities, I go, wow, it'd be neat if you had those kind of abilities. but it's like you say, it's like everything she goes through in the manga, from the Mars Chronicles on all the way through the Last Order. It's like this human being has survived all of these different, kind of obstacles and these different dangerous situations and difficult situations, and she gets through all of it, just by persevering. To me, that's what makes her a very attractive character, beyond the cuteness, of course. So.
and while we're talking about parallels, again, I was gonna use yourself as an example. Whereas, like, I saw a meme the other day where, like, back when I was young, I was like, it was making some sort of comparison to, like, the thoughts and mentality of what we had when we were young. And then when it gets to the other half of the meme, I was making references of, now that we're older, it's like my idea of fun is not waking up in the morning like having back pains or something.
Yes, I'm full aware of that, especially after a heavy day of lifting the day before.
But
yeah.
Anyway, getting back to when I said I was going to reference you, like, as we grow older, it's quite literally the natural progression that, our, not our ability to push beyond our limits, but those limits themselves, start to get smaller because getting older.
Yeah.
But I guess where the the joke of you being immortal came from is the fact that you don't seem to suffer from those side effects.
Well, I kind of do because I guess that here about 5-6 years ago I was benching over 300 a week. I mean, and it wasn't extraordinary for me, and I was like in my late 60s and that kind of stuff, but in 70 even, and now I have a hard time getting to, well, as you saw in that video, I missed 270. Now, a lot of that's because of COVID, because I didn't have anybody to lift with, because I couldn't go to the gym. I didn't have anybody to spot me, and when you get older like this, things, well, it's not just if you're older. I mean, if you don't continue lifting like that, then you're going to lose something. It's just as you get older, it's harder to get back, to where you were, so but
has that stopped you?
Well, here's the thing though, is that you want to continue to do what you're doing, so you want to keep trying, don't give up. That's, I think, one of the things that I've learned from the character Alita is you don't give up.
And again, we come full circle back to Alita, hence why I used you as an example. So,
well,
so yeah,
she is my niece. So
does she take after you, or you take after her?
Oh, I think I take after her, I guess, because I use her as a role model before I lift. Because I'll be honest with you, at that last competition at the Nationals, I was a little nervous going into it, and of course I just channeled Alita, and that helps a lot, so Okay, well, anyway, I think we hit that pretty hard, I guess.
Yeah, for such an like a unassuming topic, or
yes.
what some might argue feels like, you know, oh, there might not be all that much to talk about, but once you really do a deep dive on it,
yeah,
well,
that's what I wanted to do here, because in the past we've talked about her UwU, but we've never really gone to a deeper, you know, kind of level like you're saying about it, what makes her attractive as a character, you know. So so anyway, did we miss anything?
The only thing missing are the Alita sequels. Disney.
There it is. That's right. That's right, Disney. Damn it, we want that sequel. So yeah, that's right. So and as you can see in that middle panel, Alita does love her Uncle Creek, and if you can't handle that, there's that plasma weapon waiting for you. So and of course, here's our queen right here, Rosa. Rosa Salazar is #1 in the Creeks book, that's for sure. I mean, she brought Alita to life, you know, and God, she's a great actor, that's for sure. And you know, she's going to get that shot back at Alita again. You know, I mean, actually, I want to see her too in that Captain America 4 film, because she's in that one. You know, and I'm sure she's going to knock that out of the park. You know,
she doesn't look 38, does she? Damn.
No, she doesn't. She looks like she's in her mid-20s to me. Of course, I'm a horrible guess of age. You know.
Yeah, like the only reason, like, and even her demeanor, like when you see all the interviews, like, if I was to try to get someone's age, like I'd want to talk to them for a couple minutes first, because, you know, you can pick up on like the smaller nuances, like the kind of language, or even words that they use and how they carry themselves. But with her, it's like she's young at heart.
Yeah.
She looks young, so.
Yeah. And of course, as the Creek says every week, it sure don't hurt that she's pretty. That's for sure. Because she is definitely pretty, you know. Also, a little bit of a shout out here to El Lamont and Jesse Fisher. They brought Screwhead to life, and we want to see them in the sequel as well. You know, we definitely, they deserve to be there because they did a great job on Screwhead. And even though Screwhead didn't have any dialogue or anything like that, that, you know, that was a very, very integral character in the movie. So yeah, we deserve to have all three of these ladies back in you know, back in the sequel. So
much like Nova's in the context that, you know, he technically didn't say much, if anything at all.
Yeah, he didn't say anything, actually.
We don't, like, Screwhead only got, like, you know, severed at the torso, whereas, you know, Stinger got crushed and grounded, and Gurusha was literally split down the middle.
I literally think that Screwhead can come back, though. I mean, because like I say, her head's intact. It looks like her core's intact. She can be fixed up and brought back in. That's for sure. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Screwhead back, you know, so.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, this is what's happening tomorrow. Now, who's going to be the host tomorrow? You or Maxie, Angelus?
It's almost like the toss of a coin, because it's I believe it's the one after that I'm like really keen on hosting, or at the very least I'll have quite a bit to say about it.
Yeah.
So
well,
but in saying that, I won't mind if I end up like doing a double, so I can, or if we just rotate as usual, which means I'll be doing this one.
Okay, well, cool. Yeah, well, I'm going to be the stream manager tomorrow and next week, because I'm yeah, on the 26th, a bunch of us are going down to Colorado Springs Comic-Con, so I won't be able to be on the stream on the 26th. You know, as a matter of fact, we got a little bit of a meeting set up here for Tuesday just to make sure that we get everything put together for that. You know, we got 2.5 weeks, so or not quite 2.5 weeks, I guess, a little over 2 weeks. So you know, we've already paid for it. I've got the shirts ready, so you know it's good. So
lots of pictures.
Yeah, we'll take pictures and put them up there. Yeah,
because that'll definitely be newsworthy.
Yes, indeedy. Okay, so join us tomorrow. Gosh, that feedback's killing me, Angelus.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, it's all right. I keep hearing my voice and it's kind of messing me up, you know. So, but anyway, yeah, join us tomorrow on Radio Chaos, episode number 176. It's going to be a really nice, really good discussion, I think, about, you know, what kind of hero or heroine, I guess, that Alita is, you know, and it'll be a little bit of a follow on to what we went over today in terms of whether she's a meta human or not. You know, we'll probably bring that up as well. So, or at least if I'm going to bring it up if Maxie doesn't like it. So, so anyway. All right. So why is this image here? Well, that image is there because I like it and I am running the stream. And to paraphrase Gruwishka, I am only here for our girl and the Alita Army. And of course, the Alita Army, all of us are only here for our girl. And I guess that just brings us up to the last thing here. And that's just for Angelus and I guess, is our call to action. And I guess that any last thoughts, Angelus? I think you're muted, Angelus.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just keen to continue the fight for those Alita sequels.
You betcha.
Plural. Yeah.
All right. So I guess this brings us to our call to action. That'd be on my count of 3. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3.
Film those sequels,
baby. All right. So we'll see you next week on the Alita live stream and tomorrow on Radio Chaos.
What's up, Alita Army? This is Hot Toys Alita, and I hope you enjoyed this week's Alita livestream. Please join my Uncle Creek, Angelus, and our other guests for next week's show. Remember, I do not stand by in the presence of evil, and film those sequels, baby. See you next time.